Hello developers, welcome back to .NET Ramana. Today you will learn the most confusing and most important part of ASP.NET core development. That is models, DTOs, view models, AutoMapper. By the end of this video, you will clearly understand how to identify a model, how to identify a DTO, how to identify a view model, how to identify a AutoMapper usage, and how we can create based on our requirement very easily. I promise you, after this 15 minutes video, you will become better than 80% of the developers in clean architectures. Okay. So in clean architectures, whenever real time project, whenever we use, right, most of that everyone use these models, DTOs and AutoMappers in the ASP.NET core. View models, classic ASP.NET we are using, but to understand what is view models related to models and DTOs, I am explaining here to bringing this. Okay. So without delay, let's start that. First, what is a model? How to identify a model? Let's see that. So if you see the model definition, a model represents a database table. These are also known as entity models. Okay? A model represents a database table. That means whatever database tables is there, right? Columns, same thing in model also it will be. These are also known as entity models. How to identify a model? So rule number one, a model always represents a real database object. Okay. If the class look like a table, it is model. Remember this. Rule number two, models contain all fields including sensitive ones. Okay. Example, password hash, role ID, created date, modified date. So all sensitive data it has. So model rule number three, models live in the data or models folder. Okay. So always see that you can see on the screen, models will be, there is a folder models user.cs, order.cs, product.cs like that. Now real example how it will look like, we will add our project and we will see that, which we will do later. Okay. Now where models are used, it is very important. Models used in entity framework core we can use, database CRUD operations we can use, repositories while creating the repositories we can use, service layer internal logic we can use that. Why do we need models? To map application object to database tables. Okay, to map application objects, whatever application objects is there, to map to database tables, help entity framework core generate SQLs, provide a strongly typed data for the applications. Okay. Now we will see benefits of models. Database accurate structures, easy migrations, strong type checking, used throughout the backend. Used throughout backend. Now, what I do is we will see how the model we can create it. Okay. So let's see that on real. So what I'm doing is I'm creating one new project solution. Okay. So you can select ASP.NET core web API. Okay. Next. So here I am giving web application model DTOs. Okay. I'm giving just whatever project name you can give. Click on next. Okay. Select .NET 10 only. Create. Okay. Now there will be a new project will create. Now what I do is, see, in the solution I create a folder called models. Okay. Models. Okay. I created. Now I will add how the models look like. Add. So one class I will add that. So that class name just I copied the code for time being user.cs I'm giving. Okay. So user.cs. Okay. So now what I do is I will copy this property. Okay. How it will look like. How it will look like. Okay. See, these are the models. But here, if you see, right, same our table is user. What are the properties we used in the table? Same things here we created. But the thing is, password hash created at mails. These are the exposes of that. Okay, like that we can do creating models. Okay, now let's see for the DTOs. What is a DTO? How to identify a DTO? Just we'll see definition. DTO equal to data transfer object. Data transfer object. It is used to send data outside or receive data into the API. DTOs do not represent the database. So you always remember that DTOs, what it do not represent database tables. Then how to identify a DTO? Rule number one, DTOs never contain sensitive fields. If password hash is missing, this is a DTO. Okay. Remember that. Okay. DTOs never contain sensitive fields. This is very important. That's why we use the DTOs. Rule number two, DTOs only contain the data that API need. Okay. Not more, not less. Whatever API needs, that only it will contain the data. Okay. DTOs live into the DTO folder. You can see on the screen how it is. DTO folder is created, user DTO.cs, created user.co. Now what we do is we will create a DTOs. We will create a DTOs how it's look. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to create a folder DTOs. DTOs. Okay. I created one folder. I'm creating some classes. So I'm referring this. Okay. First user DTO.cs I'm going to create that. Okay. User.cs. Okay. Now what I do is I copy this code whatever inside this. Okay. So if you observe, right, I am not giving any sensitive data here. I am not giving any sensitive data here. If you see, right, password has created at email. These are the sensitive data, right? I am not giving anything here. Okay. Now I will create one more. Okay, one more. So create user DTO. Okay. Create user DTO. Add class create DTO.cs. Okay, .cs. Okay. Now what I do is I will copy whatever fields here. Okay. Okay. Now let's see that. See, full name, created user, full name, email, password hash. Plain input, not a stored. It is a plain input. It will not, it don't store that. Okay. Like that, we can create the DTOs. So, but you always remember it should end a DTO. It should end a DTO. Then only it is a DTO. Okay. Now we'll see that. So now we created both. You created user.dtvos and user.ds. Why do we use DTOs? To protect the database fields, to avoid exposing sensitive information, to define clean API contract, to prevent overposting attacks, to return only the necessary data. Okay. So benefits of DTOs will see security, clean API, versioning support, smaller network play load. Okay. Now we will see the view model. What is a view model? How to identify a view model? Okay. View model definition will see that a view model is used only for UI screens. It is not a database table, not an API contract. Okay. It is not a database table, not an API contract. Then how to identify a view model? Okay. Rule number one, view models combine multiple models. If a class has a field from different tables, it's a view model. If a class has fields from different tables. Okay? Rule number two, view models are designed for UI screens. If it is directly matches the radar pages or MVC view, it's a view model. Okay? So you can see how the view model structure also will looks. View models, user profile, view model.cs like that. So now we will create a one folder. Okay, view models folder. Just I'm adding one folder. Okay, view models I added. I'm adding one class. Okay, user model dot cs, user model dot cs. So go here, class view model dot cs. Okay, I added that. Okay, now what I do is I copy that properties, I do that. Okay, so like this it will be. So view model, it should end with the view models. Then it is the view models. It is the view. This is not stored in any table. Remember that it is purely for the UI. Okay. Why do we use view models? To send UI specific formatted data. To send UI specific formatted data. To combine multiple models into one object. To simplify rendering. To simplify rendering. Benefits of view model: UI flexibility, combine multiple sources, no dependency on database structure. No dependency on database structure. Now, very important, it is very good. That is, what is AutoMapper? How to identify AutoMapper? We'll see that. So, first we'll see the definition. AutoMapper is a library. What is a library? Used to automatically convert. Used to automatically convert. So, how it will convert model to DTO, DTO to model, model to view model, instead of writing manual mapping code, instead of referring writing manual mapping code. So, how to identify a AutoMapper? Rule number one: you see a class inherited from profile. This is an AutoMapper profile. Okay. So, you see, like, let me, I will show that how we can see simply. Just I am keeping this. Suppose if anything, we will see like this: create a map. Okay, create a map, user comma user DTO. If you see, right, it is the so AutoMapper. It is the AutoMapper. Okay. Now that means AutoMapper is we use that. Okay. Now we will see one example by creating the mapping. Auto mapping. So how we can see is we will create one folder. Okay. So mappings, I created one folder. Now what I'm doing is I create a user profile.cs. Okay. User profile.cs. I create that. So what I do is whatever user profile, right? I inherited from profile one. Okay. See, like inherited from profile one. Why it is showing? I didn't see. Okay. Now I need to download. Okay. Go to manage the NuGet package dependencies, manage the NuGet package. I'm adding to AutoMapper. Okay. So I'm installing AutoMapper. Okay. Now what I do is models use a static. Just a minute. Profile wherever we created that we need to use AutoMapper. Okay. So we need to use what? Using AutoMapper. Okay. See. Now I installed and I use that. Now it's gone. Okay. This errors is gone. So we need to install AutoMapper, or else directly in the project you can open this. So you can do AutoMapper latest one. So directly I do that. So I can package reference. If it is package reference, automatically it will download this. How it will be is you can see that packages AutoMapper. So once it is very important for that AutoMapper. Why do we use that? So without AutoMapper, how we need to map it, I will show that. So without AutoMapper, how it will be is just I am doing that. So we need to create like this, where DTO, new DTO, new we need to use ID, user dot ID, full name, user dot full name, like old MVs we are doing, right? Like that we are doing. Now not required. Automatically it will map that. So it will map from user to user DTO. So however you created, it will be map that. Remember that. That is the old and new one. That is very important. Now benefits of AutoMapper will see removes repetitive code, reduce mapping errors, makes code clean and maintainable, works beautifully in clean architecture. In architecture, it will be used very good. Okay. Now let's summarize that. Okay. So, how to identify a model? We've seen that. How to identify a DTO? We've seen that. So, how to identify view models? We've seen that. How to identify AutoMapper also? We've seen that. Final, what I'm telling, if you understand these four things: models, DTOs, view models, AutoMapper, you will write a clean, secure, professional, enterprise level ASP.NET Core applications. If you want, I can create a full sample project with models, DTOs, view models, and AutoMapper also. Okay. If anyone required that, you just ping on the comment section. We will see on it. Okay. Thank you, friends. Thank you all.